Howdy folks, we're back here at the sawmill. It's been a little while since we put it together and I've done some clips of it running. I know we had a couple requests for a review, so I'm gonna do my best to go over what I like and what I don't like about it. I guess I'd start by saying I wouldn't hesitate to buy one if you see one for the right price, because overall it's been great. But I think you'll see right off the bat, I got a cover for it that says Max on it. If you watched the last videos, you would know it's an AGT Sawmill. So I wanted to say that if you want a cover for it, I couldn't find a ton of AGT branded parts, but I did discover that this Max parts appear to be the same. I ordered this cover for Max's 26-inch sawmill. We've milled a pretty decent amount of stuff with it. We got a pile of boards stacked elsewhere, but I don't know how many logs it's been, but quite a few. Primarily, it's all been Eastern red cedar to this point, which appears to mill pretty good. I think it kind of dulls the blades. I'm on my third blade. The first one was error on my part. The second one just got dull from use, and then still got quite a bit of life left, I think, on this third one. But so far, really haven't had any issues with it. I'm quite happy with how it performs. Some advice I would give people on setting them up is maybe don't do what I did, where I use these 6x6s that I milled myself to level the track, because it's extremely frustrating to get the track level when you don't have one big long 6x6 underneath. I see a lot of people online buy big straight treated 6x6s to catch all the feet on each side, and I would definitely recommend that if you have that around. I didn't want to buy 6x6s because I thought to myself, why would I buy a 6x6 when I can make one? So I did all these little chunks, and it's settled on the gravel. Rain kind of washes through here since we're on a hill, and I've had to continually adjust the levelness of the track. Otherwise, it's really easy to get uneven cuts where you'll end up with a thicker in the middle and thinner on each end, and you'll flip the log over and it'll rock. So I did want to say that. Or if you have a concrete pad, that would be the best. And maybe someday I'll get there. We'll have this on concrete, so it'll be easy to level. Other than that setup, I don't have a whole lot of things I would have changed on our setup besides that. I mean, if you could do it on concrete, that'd be the best. Other things I've noticed about running the mill is this throttle cable is maybe not quite long enough. If you lift this mill, I guess, or the blade all the way up on this chassis, it'll pull on this cable. So if you're doing real big logs, you got to be cognizant of that. I kind of moved the throttle as far as this way as I thought. You can also see that my emergency stop is not connected. I did have one pin pull out on that, and I haven't re-crimped it to put it back together. You don't need it to run it. You just have to shut the engine off with the key. Not a huge deal. If you have your kind of sight gauge here too high, when you're cranking this dial, it'll hit that. That's something else I've run into. I don't use this a ton. Sometimes I'll set it just to a random number and use it as a close reference when I'm cutting boards, but I still use a tape measure on the end. I found that that's been the best. Another thing I don't love about it, but not a huge deal, is it has this tank up here that you're supposed to put water and a little bit of dish soap in to keep the blade cool. It doesn't have like a on-off valve. It just has this little dial or crank valve, whatever, I don't know what you want to call it, needle valve, but you really have to turn it a lot to get it to either go or not go. So you either have to leave it open and just let it drain water the whole time you're going, or you got to crank it all the way open and crank it all the way closed. So I have a grand idea of getting a 12-volt on-off valve and putting it in line and then tying it to this. So that way when I pull the throttle down, it'll open that valve automatically. So maybe I'll do that at some point. I've got some ideas there, but that's maybe a complaint I have. Fuel usage wise, pretty good. I think I've maybe filled it full once, maybe twice. It doesn't use a lot of gas, so that's been good. I didn't really read any of the manual about adjusting the blade or anything. I just started using it, and so far it seemed really good. I had to adjust one of the kind of blade guides that when I switched to a new band because it was kind of rubbing, but other than that, I have done nothing as far as adjustment. I keep this handle here tight. The log dogs, as they call them, aren't the best in the world. Just metal on metal here where they slide on this shaft, and it gets bound up really easy. So when you're going to tighten them on a log, you got to have that thing just right. Otherwise, you're kicking it or using a hammer. A lot of times I'll leave a rubber mallet out here. So when I'm tightening those log dogs, you just hammer it over because they don't slide worth a darn on these rails right here. And mine are all marred up from tightening now, and every time they get kind of crossways on that. But it's not a deal breaker, but just something I've noticed that I think looking at pictures of some of the name brand sawmills, they definitely look like they've got that figured out a little better. Something else I've noticed, I don't know what the service life to expect out of this thing. I imagine it'll last us a long time, but this is going to be a do as I say, not as I do situation here. But you want to keep the track clean, at least with this red cedar sawdust, because anywhere it sits on the track and gets wet, just like this is here, it really is putting the hurt on this track. So normally I have been trying to scrape that off, or I've got, electric leaf blower to keep it clean. But apparently the last time I put it away, I didn't. But that's probably because I was milling after dark trying to get some stuff done before I had to go out of town. I'm trying to think of other things that I've noticed running it, but that's the big thing. When I stop and try to think about frustrations, the biggest thing has been leveling the track. Like I said, that was a real bear. I have a laser level that came in really handy when trying to get it set up. So I guess the other thing I'd mention is you can cut basically exactly a 10-foot log with this track that this came with out of the crate. I think it's like 12 or 13 feet long, but by the time you figure in the room that this chassis takes up, you can pretty much just get like a 10-foot 2-inch log on there. So all the 4x4s that we've cut over there are just right around, just under 10 feet long. So without getting a track extension, that's what you can do. I am planning at some point to get a track extension. That website that I bought the cover from, as well as the replacement bands or the blades from, that mechmax.com, they sell a track extension that looks identical. I'm sure it's the same thing. So that's where I'm going to go probably when I want to do something over 10 feet long. I can't think of too much negative. It's overall been great. It's extremely fun to run. Making round things square, as I say. So it's been good. It comes with a couple sets of these stops here. You have these longer stops, and then there's a set of really short ones. I usually have been running these long ones, but the short ones are nice because you can cut down to a 1-inch board. So I've had some offcuts that had enough meat on them that I felt bad about throwing them on my burn pile, that I put the offcuts back on here and was able to salvage some 1x boards. So that's kind of nice. So other than that, that's a kind of a short review. I've been really happy with it. We can do some videos, just maybe a sped up video of me doing some straight milling from start to finish with a log sometime. So you can get an idea what my process looks like when I do it, and kind of an idea how long it takes. So I've definitely gotten faster at it as I've kind of got a process down of cranking the saw up, releasing the stops, stopping the water, etc., adjusting the blade slide. So now to where I can really am pretty efficient with it. So, but that's it. That's our AGT YC. What is it? AGT YC 26G couple month use review. So let us know if you got any other questions or specifics you want to see with it. We're going to try to do some oak logs with it next. We had a big oak tree fall down that we've been dragging some logs out. We've got one sitting right here that makes me wish I had the 32-inch wide sawmill because it's quite large. But we've got a couple smaller ones that we're hoping to try and see if we can make some nice beams for a project here in the future. So don't forget to like and subscribe, and we'll see what else we can get for you.